This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, and we've got some big topics to discuss tonight. We'll be talking about Tchouaméni and how that deal is moving closer, thanks to reports coming in from Spain. So on Tchouaméni, the latest coming out from Spain today is that Valverde will not be sold. The two midfielders that are up for grabs are Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Real Madrid are also looking at Bouadi now of Morocco. They're still looking at Rodri and Enzo Fernandes. Very good updates. Very good updates and very well researched by me, because these are coming in from good, credible sources in Madrid. I also spent a little bit of time looking at some, doing a bit of research. I can't really say where I was looking because everyone will go looking there. And I want to protect it. But reading around, and this probably won't be major news to some of you, but reading around, the feeling, if I can put it like that way, is that Real Madrid dealt with the Valverde-Tchouaméni situation by, basically positive PR. They got hold of it. They got both players to do announcements. They get to the end of the season, and we'll deal with it in the summer. The feeling is around Madrid that situation needs to change. That Jose Mourinho shouldn't have to come into the club and deal with Valverde and Tchouaméni and whatever's going on there. That somebody needs to be removed. And that is still a feeling that's going on. Also, they do need to bring midfielders in. So removing one of Valverde or Tchouaméni naturally makes sense anyway. It won't be Valverde, is what's coming out of Real Madrid. So Tchouaméni is still very much a possibility, a high possibility of leaving. Coupled in with that, Real Madrid might buy two midfielders. They might go for two. That came out today. They might actually sign two midfielders, not one. So if they got Bouadi and Enzo Fernandes, or Enzo Fernandes and Rodri, or Bouadi and Rodri, or they're even linked to Enmicha as well, the feeling is that Real Madrid will go for two midfielders, which means Tchouaméni will certainly be leaving. So that is still a very much deal is on for Manchester United. Now, let me remind you of the situation with Tchouaméni from a Man United situation. We see him as a dream deal. The club see him as a dream deal. Whether you do or I do, they see him as a dream deal. He has the same agent as Mbeumo. And from that side of things, and the players' side of things, if Real Madrid look to move him on, he'd be happy to join Manchester United. So this is very much a deal that can be done between Man United and Real Madrid and Tchouaméni once Real Madrid decide what they're doing. Now, what you can't have in this situation is speed. And that's going to piss you all off. We can't have speed. We can't have let's do it tomorrow. We can't have this is definitely going to happen at the end of the month or even in the middle of July. Because France probably do quite well in the World Cup. And Real Madrid do need to speak to Tchouaméni. And Real Madrid also need to get their midfielders in. And if one of those midfielders is Enzo Fernandes or Rodri, they're both playing in the World Cup. Bouadi's playing in the World Cup. And Micha's playing in the World Cup. So, unfortunately, Manchester United can sign Tchouaméni, and there is a good chance it will happen. But it will not happen until August. It just won't, there's nothing we can do about it. And I think that will lead to some reservation because we need things to happen. But absolutely, on this, it won't happen quick. It just can't. The things that need to happen, it won't happen quick. And Real Madrid will want to get their midfielders in before they sell Tchouaméni anyway. So that's where we are at with it. Quite a few separate reports adding into one, all coming in from Spain, if I'm being honest. Valverde will not be the player going. Tchouaméni will. And that is if Real Madrid get their targets in the midfield, which they are expected to do. And it could be two from Rodri, Enzo Fernandes, Micha and Bouadi. And if that happens, Tchouaméni goes and United are right at the front of the list. So, look, we can all be negative. We can all say it's going to be Sanderberg and Belabor. But the reality is, Tchouaméni is seen as a dream deal for Man United. And it's very, very possible. Now, what I will say is, I can be positive and say that that's very doable. Obviously, I don't think it happens until the back end of July. And secondly, I can't sit here and guarantee and say it's going to happen. It should happen, and it very well could happen, but I can't sit here and say it will happen because Mateus Fernandes is not a Man United player yet. And why is he not a Man United player yet? Because the price is something we don't want to pay. And Tchouaméni will probably want over 200 grand a week, and if United say they're not paying that, then it's very difficult to see how that deal happens. So my reservation about a deal for Tchouaméni will be he will have to be over 200 grand a week. But it's whether Man United go, we don't mind paying it for players who deserve it. And that will be the interesting thing on it. So encouraging news around Tchouaméni. The exit door at Real Madrid looks like it is opening up. It's just going to take a few weeks. And then it will be down to United as to whether they follow it up with genuine interest for what they've described as a dream deal. I understand the doubters who say, well, hold on a minute. For 9 months, we said Anderson was our priority. Here he is available, and we're not going to pay for it. Why would we trust United not to do it again? I can't control that. You can't control that. What I can control is that there is a very high likelihood that Tchouaméni will be available this summer. What we can't control is whether Man United will go and do the deal.
Right. To that big transfer story that emerged last night, Tottenham have had an £80 million bid rejected by Newcastle for midfielder Sandro Tonali. Michael Bridge, look, before we get to Jay's reaction, why do Tottenham want him? And look, a reminder, Spurs' record transfer signing was £65 million they paid to sign Dominic Solanke from Bournemouth in August 2024.
Yeah, look, Spurs are going for it this summer. That was a promise from Vinay Venkatesham and non-executive chairman Peter Charrington 24 hours after staying in the Premier League. But the promise is that it's not going to happen again, and they're going to give Roberto De Zerbi what he wants and needs. And that's already started by Marco Senesi, Andrew Robertson, Jan-Paul Van Hecke, £52 million. And now they're not going to go away, Spurs. This bid's been rejected, I think, just under £80 million. My understanding that the bid was on Wednesday. Roberto De Zerbi wants to sign him. It's a matter of priority for him. He wants to really redo that midfield. Of course, he's got another 3 years left in his deal with a club option of additional year at Newcastle United. There is interest from Manchester City as well, but this is a huge bit of transfer news. We're right in the middle of the World Cup, but transfers are really going to start ramping up now. This is a big one. It
is. And Jay, though, are you surprised it's been rejected?
I'll tell you what, first of all, he ain't coming if Arsenal come in. I can tell you that right now. I'm telling you right, and you know this. But he's a great player. He's done fantastically well at Newcastle. I genuinely think he's one of the best midfielders in the world. When we talk about box to box, you know, the way he can make tackles, he makes interception, he leads by example. I think he's a great player, and it would be a great coup if Tottenham could get him. I mean, it will definitely show intention. I genuinely think that, especially with the signings Tottenham's made already, they will probably finish in like the top 8 and maybe even the top 6. De Zerbi, I've got so much admiration for De Zerbi. I think he's a fantastic manager. I mean, when Ange left, I was actually saying that they should be going for De Zerbi to begin with. But obviously they went for Thomas Frank. And you know what happened after that. But they kept in the Premier League. Now they're signing players. They're definitely not going to be in that position. And the thing I like about these transfers that they've made as well, they're making transfers for players that know the Premier League. And I think that's really important so they can hit the ground running.
Yeah, just briefly on this as well, though. But normally a player of his calibre and how he's doing right now, you would be taken by a bigger club or a club with bigger ambitions. Is it a sideways step?
Listen, Newcastle are a fantastic club, but they're always going to be in a position where they can't bring the best players in the world just because of financial fair play. I think when you look at Tottenham, fantastic stadium, one of the best in the world, arguably the best training ground in the world. But then they're on the ascendancy. I mean, people will say, how can you say that? They just, you know, scraped relegation the last 2 seasons, but they have got a European trophy, which is important. But now they've got a fantastic manager as well. There's going to be... He's looking at Tottenham as well, by the way. Tonali's looking at Tottenham thinking, I want to play for De Zerbi. I think De Zerbi can attract them kind of players, which is big.
Thank you very much
But-
indeed.
But if Arsenal try and sign him, like Eze,
Stop it, Jay. Stop it. Right. Thank you.
This week, don't forget what I told you about Real Madrid, because Real Madrid for sure remain keen on doing more on the market after Marco Cucurella, after Denzel Dumfries, after Ibrahima Konate, after Bernardo Silva. Real Madrid are not done on the market, but remember what I told you over the week. In order for Real Madrid to add more players, especially in midfield, they want to clarify some exits. And so new contacts expected with Dani Ceballos, who is going to leave the club as a free agent. Real Madrid don't want one single euro from that deal. They just want Ceballos to go to open space for more midfielders, but also Nico Paz. There will be a face-to-face meeting this week between Como and Real Madrid in Madrid for Nico Paz. So get ready for this meeting, because Como Real Madrid will decide the direction of the deal. Real Madrid want to restructure the deal in order to buy back the player and eventually sell him to Como with a new structure of the deal. Como want to maintain the current structure, so the player being a Como player, with Real Madrid having a buyback clause also in 2027. So this is the difference. They have to find a solution. Otherwise, they could open to new scenarios for the future of the Argentinian player. Remember, and don't forget, that the future of Nico Paz is completely only in the hands of Real Madrid, because Nico Paz signed a contract with Real Madrid already, and so it's Real Madrid deciding what they want to do before anyone else. So waiting for this meeting with Como, and it's going to be, for sure, an important story.